Welcome to the mindful musings of two spiritual mamas. We are Alicia
and Shelby,
here to share our 20 years of authentic friendship, life experiences, and acquired wisdom. Infused with love and intention, our episodes will inspire those who are ready to shift their soul path into alignment with its divine purpose.
We will discuss alternative approaches to life's traditional pathways, leaving you with tools in your spiritual toolbox to navigate everyday moments. Knowing and embodying the empowered self on a daily basis is one of the most valuable practices you can adopt. Understanding that you are surrounded by a network of support, both physically and spiritually, will carry you into the next phase of your divine purpose.
You are not alone on this journey. We recognize we're on a spiritual path, navigating our day-to-day lives, and in this podcast, we'll share with you our organic thoughts as we grow and blossom together. Hello and welcome to episode 7 with two spiritual mamas. This is Alicia.
And I'm Shelby.
And today we will be talking about feeding your soul.
Exactly. What types of foods, what energetics of foods, how you can think of feeding your soul all the way into your cells, into your energetic fields, your chakras. We're going to talk about local and conscious shopping, bringing some awareness to this big global world we live in and how to bring it down to a little bit of a centeredness around your food, and also just being present when you eat. We can often be a little bit busy in our lives, and really bringing some prayer and consciousness back to eating.
Yes, and I love how we're going to wrap it up with the 7 chakras and the endocrine system, and foods to nourish and herbs to support your whole energetic system.
Yes, because it's all available to you. We just have to be aware of it, put the pieces together, and be present inside of it all.
Absolutely. Yay. I'm excited to talk about this because I think we both live our lives with as much conscious awareness as possible. And Shelby, with your nutrition background, and me with my herbal science, we both, I don't know if everybody knows this about us yet, but we met at Bastyr University when we were both studying these things in college. And the way we've incorporated them on a physical level and also on a spiritual level is what we want to share with you today.
And an emotional level. Let's be honest, food is emotion.
Absolutely.
It can be. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of people go into or study what you really need. And that was my case. I really needed to get a better relationship with food. So I chose to study nutrition and natural health sciences at Bastyr, where I met you. And I have always been so grateful for that time. Around people of just such health conscious mindsets. We had such a beautiful garden there, and just bringing awareness to organic foods, being mindful of where everything comes from. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. How can we be more mindful of where our food comes from? I think for one, it's like, is it local? And I'm fortunate. I'm in Vermont, where there's I could run to a farm, literally. I might be a little out of breath, but
just jog down the street and pick up some veggies. Yeah, how nice!
Totally. And that's what I actually got to do during COVID. Everybody was in quarantine, and I would just run down the road to the farm and get my food, and as well as grow my own here on the land. So that feels really good. But not everybody can do that. So
here in the city where I live in Portland, Oregon, we have a lot of farmers markets where the local surrounding area farmers do come into the city. And we have Wednesday markets and Saturday markets and Sunday markets. There's so many here in Portland that there are different days and times that you can catch that possibility. And we have conscious natural markets that focus on bringing in local food to the regular New Seasons Market. They're a fantastic chain here in Portland that we can have a relationship with our farmers, which I think is really what we're talking about, relationship with the land and the people who grow it, because we really, really want to be grateful for where it comes from and who is tending the growth of this nutrition that we're going to put into our bodies.
And that's where I think of is how they're tending my food. You know, is it with love? Is it with consciousness? Or are they throwing down pesticides on it just to make more money, to produce more crops? Or is this a real careful, beautifully handled product that I'm putting on my plate? That's that's what I want to have in my body. That's what I want to feed my cells with and my soul with. So
Absolutely. The thought that comes to my mind is, would you choose local over organic? Are we focused on only organic? Or if local food, if it's tended well with minimal pesticides, is still better than getting something that's flown halfway around the world or transported up from Mexico that says that it's organic?
well, I think that has to be your own sense of intuition that tells you the answer to that. You know, energy up, energy down.
I love that. We could do that at the supermarket. You're right.
Yes, yes.
It's partly the energy you see coming off of the food, just noticing the beauty of something that you're going to prepare or consume, and checking in with your body and asking, is this really going to nourish me? Is this right for me? And if you feel that intuitive sense, I love how you brought it back to of intuition. Thank you.
Yes. Well, that kind of brings in this book I am currently reading. It's called Nutrition for Intuition. And this is by Doreen Virtue and Robert Reeves. He's a naturopath. And in this book, I just read a beautiful line about when your food is growing. So they talk about papayas and tropical fruits and how the sun gets absorbed into those fruits. And when you eat that, your body actually absorbs that light. Your chakras absorb that light and that energy of that fruit. And that was the happiest fruit ever being grown on this beautiful tree in this beautiful, sunny, warm climate. And then you get to take that in. Like, doesn't that, I'm getting body chills.
Me
Like,
too.
it gets me so excited. I'm like, can I go get a papaya? No, I'm in Vermont.
Maybe not the season for that. Or like we're saying, it's not a local food.
Right. But that's what I'm talking about. And of course, there's reality where if I only ate local, that would be a really interesting. I'd be eating a lot of potatoes and carrots and onions right now.
And
You
eating
know,
seasonally is also important.
seasonal.
And in the
Yes.
wintertime, there's a lot of foods that come from our storehouse that, we can, you said, don't you have garlic in your
Yes.
storeroom that
And
you grew?
onions. Yep.
And how
Yeah.
nourishing is that to get to go and grab your own homegrown food? That's always my goal. I'm going to buy a house soon, and I really want a space for my vegetable garden. I'm always wanting to have a vegetable garden. I also was drawn to Bastyr and that herbal science because I totally believe that about the life and vitality that the whole plant world really does bring us all the nutrition. The animals, if you eat animals, they are getting all of their nutrition from plants. And the plants are that life force energy that is transformed sunlight. Like we can't photosynthesize, but they're doing it for us. It's so awesome.
And it's Pachamama. It's the Mother Earth. It's just the vitality, like you said. Yes, for the honoring of the origins of our food. And on an extreme end, when you pick up, I always just say a Twinkie because everybody knows, like, what in that was a part of Mother Earth ever. I'm not sure. And I guess I could read the ingredients, but you know what I'm saying.
But that's the thing. If you're not sure, that's
Move
the
on.
little alarm that goes off that will let you know, you know what? Is this real food? Is this? And I did my soul coaching program back. I don't know if you did the Whole30 with me. Back in 2020, when I ran a soul coaching program, I also made it a personal challenge goal to do the Whole30 diet. And that was really just not a diet to lose weight or to do anything other than be conscious of eating whole foods and not packaged foods. And that was just such a difference. I noticed the difference in my vitality.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a few rules my family goes by, and we've been doing this since I went to school 20 years ago with Best here. But he was like, avoid the hydrogenated oils, avoid the high fructose corn syrup, avoid anything with food dyes in it. Now it's like genetically modified. We try to avoid that. So we don't always get to eat organic, but if you can avoid those ingredients, you kind of eliminate quite a bit in the grocery store. And also with my kids, because if anybody has children out there, you know that advertising labeling is really enticing. And my daughter, she's going to be 14 next week, and Mom, can I have this? And I said, read the ingredients. If you can pronounce them, you can have it. And then she's like, uh-huh. And she'll put it back on the shelf. And I'm sure at this point she could pronounce it, but she gets it. She's like, yeah, okay, you
And
win.
this will be reassuring to all the mamas out there and the papas, because we've been doing this with our kids since they were born.
Yeah.
And this really does show me how you can teach within your microculture of your family these things, how important these things are, and being aware of where the food comes from, blessing it. We're going to get into that, and thanking the farmers, and using that little ceremonial moment around the kitchen table, around the dining room table with your family. And my son will do the same. He'll say, oh, that's got too much sugar in it. I can't, that won't make me feel good. He's aware. And it really came down in my family through my parents. They would always say, you are what you eat. You're going to be that. If you put it in your body, it goes into those cells, and it is a part of the structure of your body. And we know hydrogenated oils make for less fluid cellular membranes. So you can't really communicate between cells as easily. That's why we advocate for omega-3s and those healthy oils, right? And the healthier cooking oils. Let's just throw a couple out there. I've been cooking a lot with avocado oil lately.
Yes.
Same with you. Anything
Yep.
else?
I still use olive. I love olive, and
Olive's great.
yeah.
And I was using a lot more coconut oil, and I've actually shied away from that, thinking avocado is better. At least it feels better in my body. I know my partner and a couple men that I know don't process the coconut oil quite as well. So that's just a side note, just in case people are looking for what to use. And I use sunflower seed oil when I'm baking instead of canola.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. This is a giant topic. We could go on forever, and perhaps we'll have to really do an part 2 and 3 about it. But I think it's just important to talk about how you eat your food.
Yeah.
So we've given you like a real rough, like how to choose it, but now that it's on your plate,
or before it's on your plate,
oh, there we go.
Think about what you're doing in the kitchen while you're preparing it, what you're thinking about. Are you listening to the news? Are you having an argument? Or, really centering yourself and putting the intention of love into the food when you're making it. And then when you sit down to eat it, I really love to take in, and consume is a word that I'm going to use a lot in this whole episode, because consuming visually, just looking at it and appreciating, wow, really put this beautiful meal together, or whoever did, thanking them. Or even if it was takeout. I mean, during COVID right now, we're getting takeout, instead of being able to go anywhere. But sitting there and appreciating where the food came from. And I even put my hands around the edges of my plate. I make it look really inconspicuous, so nobody's like, oh, you're like praying over your food, or sending Reiki into your food. Not like they would know what I'm doing, but I just sort of hold the edges of my plate, and I can feel the energy activate in my hands, and I really want to bless my food and give a prayer of thanks to Mother Earth, to the sun, to the plants and animals and everyone and everything. Water, yes. Everyone and everything that touched it, right? The farmers and the people who drive it from here to there. And it's just so many people go into that preparation of our food, even getting to us, let alone cooking it. So I just love to send all that appreciation out to those places and people, and and give thanks to the spirit of these plants that I'm eating and the animal, if there's animal on my plate, which I've been back and forth being vegetarian, vegan, and I really want to let everyone know that we advocate for whatever is best for your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so if and of course the planet, but there are conscientious ways. I was vegetarian for 20 years and I chose to go back to eating some meat, but I would only eat the free range, and the well treated, tended, treated animals and land is important to me. So just really tapping into that energy source while you're sitting there, really mindfully choosing to focus your energy. And then each bite is a meditation practice. You can feel the texture, you can taste all the flavors and continue to stay focused and attentive. As I know in Buddhist traditions, they use it as a meditation. They usually don't talk. I love to have, conversation with family around meals, but we try not to do any screens. We don't want to consume anything other than the love and the shared experience of the food.
And I would add for myself that it's just a reminder of the connectedness of each one of us. It's such a privilege. Last night at dinner, I said to my kids, we would be like kings and queens, if this was 1,000 years ago, with the luxury that we have to just whip up this meal, how everything's on our plate. And look at this red, we had a roasted red pepper and rice, and we were eating some free range chicken, and it was a very simple meal, but it was beautiful. And it's just a way to honor each part, like you just said. I don't have to repeat it, but I love that part. I love the network. I love the interwoven fabric. I think if you've been listening to these podcasts, you get that about me by now. There's no singular in this planet. We are all working together, and the food that we receive is always a blessing. And taking that moment, I, for one, for the last 18 months, have made a very strong commitment that I would not work when I was eating. Mm-hmm. Whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I have been trying to conquer my at all costs model of always having to work and always, because there is literally always something to do. If I kept my list open, I was like, this is a never ending list. But I finally said enough. I have to stop, and I have to tend to my body and my needs and be conscious that I am feeding myself right now, and I'm giving myself the energy that I require to continue living this lifestyle of joy and output. So it's been wonderful. It has paid me back so beautifully just to give myself that 20 minutes of calm. And I get really excited too. Like when I get my food in my hand, I'm like, I know I'm about to get a break, and there is zero guilt. It is just, this is how it is. This is how it must be.
Nice. Yes.
And it's with permission. It is with complete authority. I am eating now.
I love that.
That's so silly, but it's so not silly at all. What's silly is that we stopped doing that. We started eating on the way to work, or we started shoving food, and you're like, did I even eat? I don't remember chewing.
Well, I caught myself eating standing up in the kitchen. I think I was just so hungry that I was like, okay, I think we should go sit down at the table.
Yeah,
there's that.
It's
just too common that we cannot be so focused. And so this is just an episode to remind you to feed your soul in every aspect of what you're doing. I mean, it would be ideal, but in anything you consume, and to sit down and take that mindful moment and carve that out for you. That's again saying yes to you. I love that you brought that back around to the all cost model, and noticing what it takes in your belief system to say, I deserve this. This is important. Mm-hmm. This is me focusing my energy and having that care for myself.
I just had the funniest thought come to my mind. Like sometimes we take care of our cars better than we take care of our bodies. But you might be that person who loves to drive around on E until it's like you're like Like the other day, we had dashes, in the cars now they tell you how many miles you have left. We had dashes. So that was like, oh, there's like 0 miles left, guys. Thankfully, we were on the mountain. So we just legitimately rolled down.
Coasted down.
We coasted like 5 miles. And I'm like, woo, I'm glad we went somewhere up today. But what I'm trying to say is, if that's your habit, I'm going to ask you to take a look in yourself and say you deserve better. You deserve better than coasting. You deserve a full tank out there. You deserve a full tank so that you, and we're going to get into this, that your actual physical endocrine system, your body can have the biological reactions that it not deserves, but to be better balanced, to respond to situations in your life in a more balanced way. So
balance is such a lovely focus. I think both of us really do. You with your Libra sun, me with my Mars and Libra. I always bring it back to that. Libra balance is one of my focuses. And before we shift into talking about all those chakra systems and the endocrine system and what specific foods and herbs you can use to support those systems, I also wanted to mention consuming media and comparing yourself to others and spending time on social media. And I know we've heard it before and you probably already know this, but it's a conscious practice. All of this that we're talking about is consciousness in practice. So when you do catch yourself noticing, I would just choose a belief in that moment or choose a thought in that moment of self-care and of self-love that you can shift from scrolling on your social media, pages to getting outside and taking a little walk and consuming sunshine or consuming fresh air instead of consuming all of this blue light from social media and our devices and everything. That's just one thing, just another thing, not just
right.
another thing that we can focus on.
And with that, what is your relationship? Not only with media or with comparative analysis, with social pressures, but what is your relationship with food and recognizing that it is a relationship, and like I just brought up with the car and the gas, like the way that you treat your child or your spouse or your coworkers is you have a relationship with food. And do you just act quickly and eat because you're starving, because you haven't taken the time? And then, of course, you're going to eat whatever. I was just saying to Alicia, like sometimes I come in from work and I'm like, there's a plate of cookies and I'm like eating cookies after coaching all day. That is not okay. And that is what I would say, not a very healthy relationship. So looking at it in a different way, I think that's what this whole episode really is about, is taking a step back and saying, what is my relationship to food? Is it up and down? Is it frisky? What are some relationship titles?
Nourishing, supportive.
There's the positive ones. Yeah.
Right. I like that we're noticing where it doesn't work. What's a negative relationship that's draining you maybe, or not nourishing you versus one that is consciously supportive.
Because it is available to you. I mean, like we already said, Mother Earth provides a beautiful palette. Sometimes finances can get in the way. But even when that happens, don't choose the $5 for $1 snacks, like choose the healthier means. And I know that there's a lot of programs out there too. If funds are tough, learn how to cook, because cooking is magic. It's really like, sometimes I feel like I'm making my little brew, when I'm at the stove. It's like such a blessing. It's such an opportunity to have a part in who you're becoming, who your children are becoming, what your cells are becoming. What are you feeding your cells? What do your mitochondria want? What do your, like get into the science of it. It's kind of exciting.
It is exciting. And then one of the things too, I use cooking for is an outlet for my creativity.
Hmm.
It's artistic, it's delicious, it's fun, and you can definitely get really creative with it.
It's empowering too. I've
Mhm.
watched my son is now 19, and he gets excited about what he can now make, and he feeds himself, and he'll say, "No, mom, I'm fine. I'm fine." Because it's like he wants to feed himself. He wants to go in the kitchen later on
It is
when,
empowering.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and
very
that's
cool.
just, oh my gosh, we could talk about this forever. But that's another thing is bring your kids in the kitchen, get
Oh,
them going
yeah.
with it. Get them. One of the most fun things I did was I gave my kids a shopping cart. I just said, okay, you guys go make your choices. And we would have to weed it out at the
Yeah.
end of the shopping trip. Be like, okay, why aren't we going to say yes to these things? But it was fun and empowering for
And
them to go
educational
choose.
in
Yep.
those moments. Yep. To
Yep.
be able to say why we
Absolutely.
would choose this and not that.
Yeah.
Excellent. One thing you said about the five for a dollar foods compared to something more nourishing, just remember too, whole foods carry more nutrition and more
Yeah.
vitality in them than packaged foods.
Yeah.
So, if you learn to cook those squash that, don't cost that much when they're whole and raw, and you can bake them at home and make delicious different things out of them, soups or whatever, you can get so much more for your money that way. And it's just really the time and energy that you put into it that's spent there.
And your body's not going to crash. Like I just joked about, eating a bunch of cookies for dinner is not going to be well received by any part of me. Maybe my taste buds in that moment, but after that, it's all downhill. So you got to
So,
reward yourself.
yeah, sometimes. So, those chakra systems and the endocrine system, we're going to dive into that because I'll just let you know if you don't know what the endocrine system is, it's the chemical messenger system in your body. So, they are glands that are all interconnected. It's actually a very complex, complicated system within our bodies that communicates via hormones and through the glands. Some of them regulate others. Sometimes it's a loop and they go through multiple cascade reactions before you get an end result. Some examples are those fight or flight hormones that come from your adrenal glands that regulate your cortisol. And melatonin is produced in the brain, in the pineal gland. So we're going to go through the different organ systems that are related to your chakras and how to nourish them.
Yes. And again, I wanted to reference that book, Nutrition for Intuition. It's just a wonderful way to describe how the intuition that Alicia and I love to, it's our map, it's our trail guide to how we make decisions in our daily lives. Um, the intuition is related to the chakras. The chakras are related to the endocrine system. The endocrine is related to the food you eat. So it's just this beautiful, I love that you already used the word cascading, but it's this beautiful roadmap of how food is your mood. You are what you eat. All those sayings that you hear, the little memes and stuff, it's very true. So we haven't dove into the chakra system completely, but I know we're upcoming episodes. We're going to talk about dancing through your chakras and movement. But here it's almost like eating through the chakras. So our root chakra is in relationship with our adrenal glands. And I know I've been told plenty of times, wow, Shelby, your adrenals must be shot. This is your stress, right?
It's definitely related to stress, how much we push our bodies, how much stress is in our lives. And in our culture, we get bombarded with stressful headlines and deadlines and all sorts of things in this day-to-day world that we live in now in the updated, 21st century. Whereas this system, as it evolved in our bodies, was originally, this was like run away from a bear survival technique system. that supported us having a boost of energy when we needed to respond, react quickly for safety. And the root chakra is about safety and securing that anchored, rooted, grounded feeling, connection with the earth, with yourself. And it is focused around safety.
So, in terms of eating and how to support the root chakra, potatoes, squash, pumpkins, beets, and raspberries is what our wonderful authors share with us. So,
That would make sense. Anything red? Because that's the
yeah,
color down there. And roots, literally the roots for the root chakra. I love that.
right, exactly. I know. Potatoes are one of my favorite things to grow. And I found out my great grandparents were potato farmers, Polish potato farmers. And
Fun.
my grandfather used to sit on the back of the truck and sell potatoes and corn. And I love growing potatoes. It's like a
They're
little
fun to
treat.
grow. Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
You get
you
to
get to dig them
uncover,
up.
unearth this beautiful
Yes,
store of nutrition and food. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
absolutely.
The colors they come in.
So our second chakra is related to our ovaries or our testes.
Yep, not surprising. It's there in your pelvic bowl and all of those hormones that go along with our sexual organs.
And the foods that support our second chakra or our sacral chakra are carrots, tomatoes, watercress, almond milk, cantaloupe, and papaya. Ooh, the coveted papaya with the
You were just
sunshine.
talking about it.
Yes.
Yes, the sunshine trapped in sugar. So beautiful. Good harmony. I would like to
Radiant.
say that is again back to the colors, and you can think about your chakras and nourishing your chakras with food. If you're going to eat anything orange, that would be the second chakra, and that would be those sexual organs, your hormone balancing support there. Love it.
Yay. And we're on our third chakra. Our third chakra is sponsored by the pancreas.
Yay. The pancreas is an amazing gland. Obviously, it regulates our sugar processing as it produces insulin, and that's the hormone and the blood sugar balancing that it does. It's located in that same area, and that color of that chakra there is yellow. And I think of the pancreas as kind of a yellow gland. I don't know if that's totally accurate, but it sure seems like it. And I love what this book says about how spiritually the sweetness of life and how we can look at our belief systems around this. When it comes to the sugary, insulin relationship to the pancreas. And then because the third chakra focus is about your willpower and your personal power and your personal strength and belief systems around there, the shadow of that would be fear and not feeling worthy or being afraid of not doing good enough or not being enough. And then you can support that chakra and that gland.
Absolutely. Yeah, and not being loved, and that's exactly what this book says. I know you haven't read that section, but you are so right on. So the foods they suggest in here are tofu, lemons, sunflower milk, and mangoes. So I think we're going colors here.
It's mostly colors. I like that the root chakra is also all roots. That was really thrilling to me. So what after we go from the third chakra, the fourth chakra, the color is green. So I'm going to guess they're going to say that we should be eating all these greens, but I want to hear more about it.
I'm going to make you wait.
What
So,
is
yes, the heart chakra is the thymus gland.
thymus? Right.
Yes. Yeah, you have a lot to say about that. I will let you go.
It's so cool. Okay, so if people don't know what the thymus is, it is the gland that produces a lot of your immune system white blood cells. And the immune system is like your protection to keep out the foreign invaders, right? All the bacteria, all the other that we don't want inside of us. And because it's right there with the heart, I also relate it to Chinese medicine talks about the pericardium. It's that sac that contains your heart. You actually have a little protective layer around your heart. And a lot of times when problems of the heart come up, you actually want to look at the pericardium and look at what you have negatively blocking your heart or what you're lacking in boundaries, back to our episode about that, what you need to put around your heart as a protection. And I love that the thymus gland is right there and it's related to protection of the body.
Yes, and keeping that energy clear around your heart, like you're saying, is it charged in a negative way or a more of a shadowy way? Keeping your foods clean, keeping, like we have already talked about, is really, really important. And of course, moving and exercising.
Right. Exercise. My partner just said that too. Our cardiovascular health and how that helps our whole body circulation and getting nutrients to our body cells is also so connected and important.
All right, my friend. So you were correct. I feel like we're on a game show. It is kale.
Yeah.
Spinach. Also watermelon and apples. I wonder if they're green apples or not.
Ooh, okay. I have to bring this in. The hawthorn tree, which is my favorite heart medicine for people, just for strengthening the heart. And I know we didn't talk a lot about herbs in these other chakras yet, but the apple and the hawthorn berry are related. They're in the same family. And that fruit that is the apple is like a heart fruit. It's in that family of heart medicine
perfect.
Foods. Mm-hmm.
Yay. And I'm just going to throw this in because I love this, my herb, since you brought up an herb. I have been taking ashwagandha, recommended to me by my naturopath, who also went to Bastyr University. And that is the adrenals. And so
right.
back in the root chakra.
It's funny, I forgot to bring that up because I love talking about the adrenals, and it is so important to me to help people deal with stress. So we will do extra episodes on that later.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll try to keep this to summarizing the last little bits of our system.
Yes. So our throat chakra is, as I've been saying, sponsored by the thyroid gland. Of course, it's right there.
The thyroid gland. I sometimes will tap
you
on.
Sing it.
Like, I love you. This is right there under our vocal cords or around there. And it is connected with so many hormones and so much of the cascade of reactions that happen within the thyroid, within the endocrine system. And so I can't even tell you all the things that it does, but it produces a lot of hormones in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I know a lot of my friends have thyroid imbalances. So this is a huge topic and we're going to have to revisit it. But for now, the foods are cucumbers, garlic, cashew milk, and strawberries for the throat chakra.
Yeah. Funny there's no blue foods in there. That's the blue colored chakra. But also activating your voice and singing, and I'm glad that came out that way.
Yeah, I know.
That was fun.
Perfect. All right. And our third eye chakra is sponsored by the hypothalamus gland.
Ooh, yeah, the hypothalamus.
Super, what did we call it earlier? The superpower.
It controls pretty much the whole system. And it's pretty awesome that it helps us to envision this overarching whole system harmony.
Mm-hmm. Which, if we bring it into the intuitive sense, all those clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient places that you want to tap into. And again, that's a big topic, but
it's that intuition, the real root and core of our visionary experience of connecting and seeing through the layers of the divine mystery really do come from that third eye chakra.
Yes. And foods that support it are the pineapple, celery, broccoli, blueberries. There's your blueberries. And coconut.
Oh, yum.
Yes.
Love the coconut.
And lastly, our crown chakra is the pineal and pituitary glands.
Yes, the pineal and pituitary, right? And it's the pineal gland that produces melatonin and helps us to keep in balance with the circadian rhythm, which is that sleep-awake cycle. And that balance and harmony within that, sort of think about it right there in the center of your brain It is the center of your system, and it really helps to balance in a very centered way how we are in the world.
Hmm. And our foods that really benefit our crown chakra are grapes, blueberries, macadamia milk, bananas, pears, and grapefruits.
Mm.
All
So
foods that when I just think of those foods, it's just energy. It's just like
pure
love
energy.
energy, earthen energy. There's no processing, there's no calculating formula that it was needed and packaging. It comes in their own package. I can grow most of it. I could do the blueberries and I have grapes on my land here. Like it's
So
simple.
fun.
It's simple.
Yay.
So, to wrap up this beautiful topic, it's quite a large one that we will revisit, we promise. We wanted to offer you a tool or a daily experienced food tracker. We really can't put a label to it, but something to just monitor yourself very gently. This doesn't have to do with calories. It doesn't have to do with your vitamin
Nutrition.
intake, your
Yeah.
nutrition. It's mostly about how you're feeling and how consciously you're eating. So, if I can suggest getting a journal and keeping track of the time that you ate, very quickly what you ate, doesn't you don't have to say half a cup of oats or whatnot, but just did you eat? You could even just say gluten, sugar. I don't know. I mean, you could just keep it simple.
Break it down, whatever makes sense to you with your
Yeah.
diet, the way that you eat.
Yeah. And then I would suggest writing what you were doing when you ate. And then lastly, how you're feeling. And with that one, I think it's really important to, at the end of the night or the next day, when you look at what you ate, let's say at 7:22 a.m., at 9 o'clock a.m., maybe you had a snack. How did you feel at that point? Because that might be reflective on what you ate at 7 a.m. So just being conscious of how you're feeling an hour, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours after you've eaten is a big one for me. That's how I intuitively know that, yeah, that dairy was not good. I don't do dairy very often. My body has rejected it for so many years that I finally listened.
I'm in that same boat. I didn't realize the trouble it was causing me until I really truly committed to taking it out. And now I absolutely don't go back because I don't want to deal with any of those issues anymore.
Right. And so this could be, I mean, we have phones. We're so spoiled, right, these days. If you have a phone and you can even just do a voice memo and just say, all right, good morning. I had 2 eggs and a bagel and a cup of coffee. I feel awesome. And I was in my car eating, and just keeping track of it. It'd be a cool conscious practice, even if you committed to 3 days. 3 days, try it out, and then reflect. And you might be surprised. You might be elated. You might be like, I'm so awesome.
Yeah. And if you did just do it for 3 days and then for the rest of the week, you might still be on that track of mindfulness and noticing how you feel and eat, connecting the dots. And that's the
Yeah.
tool. That's the trick here is to just really bring you back to your mindfulness practice. Well, that wraps it up. And I just hope that you all are more conscious or that this was inspiring you to focus on that mindfulness and that you find the foods that are nourishing to you and that you have an absolutely blessed and divine day because not only do we want to be grateful for everything that supports us, but we also want to extend our blessings and gratitude and appreciation for each and every one of you, for
Yeah.
ourselves, and for each other.
So walk your day with a conscious mind and feed yourself with an open heart and love for yourself. So thank you, everybody. Aho.
Aho, namaste.